Okay, so I'm going to be real about what happened with my boyfriend, Leo, because honestly, I still don't think I was the bad guy here. Not really. I mean, he's the one who broke up with me, who threw away a year of us like it was a piece of trash. All I did was say no to something completely crazy and unfair. And now my life is this quiet, empty mess, and everyone seems to think it's my fault, which is the most insane part of all. My name is Jessica. I'm 23. And up until about a month ago, my life was, for the first time ever, genuinely happy. After the chaos of college and a string of go-nowhere relationships with guys who couldn't even remember my middle name, I had found Leo. For a year, he was my everything. My first serious boyfriend, the first guy who felt like home. He's 25 and works as a graphic designer, and he's one of those truly good guys you think Hollywood made up. The kind who actually listens, who remembers the little things. Just last month, I'd idly mentioned a new indie band I liked. The next week, he surprised me with 2 tickets to their sold-out show in Minneapolis. That was him. He paid attention. He cared. Our life was good. It was easy. It was safe. He was my safe place. The only real issue, the only crack in our otherwise perfect foundation, was Leo's trust issues. His college girlfriend had cheated on him, and the story was brutal. She had carried on a 6-month affair with one of his friends, lying to his face every single day. He told me about it once, late at night, his voice quiet with the phantom pain of that old betrayal. "She didn't just sleep with him, Jess," he'd said, staring at the ceiling above my bed. She made me feel like I was the crazy one. I'd ask her why she was being so distant, and she'd flip it around on me, tell me I was being clingy and insecure. She'd look me right in the eye and lie, over and over. The lying. The lying was so much worse than the cheating. It broke my brain for a while. I remember stroking his hair, feeling a surge of protective love, a fierce determination to be everything that other girl wasn't. "I would never ever do that to you," I'd whispered. And in that moment, I meant it with every fiber of my being. Honesty and being completely open with each other became our mantra. It was the most important thing to him, and so it became the most important thing to me. Mostly. The thing is, about 3 months ago, my ex-boyfriend from college, Kyle, had started texting me again. It began innocently enough, a happy birthday message in March. Then he replied to one of my Instagram stories. Soon it became a quiet background hum in my life, a little notification lighting up my phone screen every few days. I told myself it was a confidence boost, a harmless reminder that I was still desirable outside of my comfortable relationship. The conversations were, I guess, if you were a sensitive person like Leo, a little flirty. He'd see a new profile picture I posted and text, "Wow, Jess, you look amazing. Leo's a lucky guy." My heart would do a little flutter, a stupid little ego boost, and I'd text back, "Haha, thanks, you're not so bad yourself." When I complained about a boring week at my marketing assistant job, he wrote back, "I'd never let you be bored." It was a stupid, meaningless line, but I read it 5 times. It was harmless. It was just texting. Kyle lives in California now. It's not like I was going to see him. I didn't tell Leo about it because I knew he wouldn't get it. He would hear alarm bells that weren't there. He would get that hurt look in his eyes. I told myself I was protecting his feelings. What he didn't know wouldn't hurt him. It was easier that way. Just last week, we had a near miss. We were on the couch, and a text from Kyle came in. "Thinking of you," it said. I smiled instinctively before I could stop myself. "What's so funny?" Leo asked, smiling, happy to share in my happiness. "Oh, nothing," I said, quickly flipping my phone over. "Just a dumb meme Sarah sent me." The lie was so small, so easy. Leo just nodded and went back to the movie. I felt a tiny, ugly squirm of guilt, but I pushed it down. It was just a white lie. No harm done. The night everything fell apart was a normal Friday. We ordered our usual greasy pepperoni pizza and were curled up on my couch to watch a new action movie. But Leo was quiet. He wasn't just quiet, he was distant. He barely touched the pizza, and during the movie's opening, he just stared at the screen, his expression blank. His arm, which was usually wrapped tightly around me, just lay loosely on my shoulders. I found myself getting annoyed. If he was in a mood, he should just say so. This silent treatment was so immature. In the middle of a huge car chase, he picked up the remote and paused it. The sudden silence was jarring, broken only by the hum of the refrigerator. He turned his whole body to face me, and he looked nervous, his brow furrowed in a way that made my stomach clench. "Hey, Jess," he said, his voice a little shaky. "Can I ask you something really weird?" "Sure," I said, trying to keep the annoyance out of my voice. The best part of the movie was about to start. He took a deep breath and his hands fidgeted in his lap, twisting the drawstring on his sweatpants. "Look, I know my past stuff makes me paranoid sometimes, and I promise I'm trying to work on it. I really am, but I need to feel like I can trust you 100%, like completely and totally, with no walls up." "I know, Leo, you can trust me," I said automatically, reaching out to pat his knee. The gesture felt hollow and I pulled my hand back. "I know, but I just have this stupid feeling sometimes," he said, finally looking up at me. His eyes were wide and pleading. "And it eats me up inside. So, and I know this is crazy, and you have every right to be mad at me for asking, but would you, just this once, to put my mind completely at ease, let me see your phone?" My heart didn't just stop. It felt like it seized up, like a clenched fist in my chest. All I could think about were the dozens of notifications from Kyle. The winky faces, the "I miss your laugh" texts. The conversation from last Tuesday. They were nothing, just words on a screen, but I knew that if Leo saw them, he would make them into something. He would see a pattern. He would see secrets. He would see his ex-girlfriend all over again. My body went rigid. A cold, defensive anger washed over me. This wasn't fair. "What?" I said, my voice sharp and loud in the quiet room. "Just for a second," he pleaded, his voice cracking a little. "I just want to feel like there are no secrets between us. I swear to God, Jess, I will never ever ask again." This was insane. He was accusing me of hiding something, which, okay, fine, I was. But it was for his own good. It was to protect him from his own stupid insecurities. "No," I said, my voice getting louder. I pulled away from him, standing up to put some distance between us. My own personal fortress. "Absolutely not. That is a huge, insane violation of my privacy, Leo." "It's not about privacy, Jess. It's about transparency," he said, his own voice getting a little stronger, a little more desperate as he stood up to face me. "It's the same thing," I shot back, crossing my arms over my chest like a shield. "Why don't you trust me? What have I ever done to make you not trust me? This isn't about me at all, is it? This is about your ex. You're punishing me for what she did, and that is not fair. This is controlling, Leo. Are you going through my things when I'm not here? Is that what this is about? You're trying to control me, and I won't let you." I was on a roll now, my voice filled with righteous indignation. I thought he would argue back. I was ready for a huge, screaming fight. I had all my arguments lined up, all my justifications ready to go. I was prepared to spend the rest of the night proving to him how wrong and insecure and controlling he was being. But he didn't fight. He just looked at me, his face a canvas of shifting emotions. I saw the anxiety, then the flash of deep hurt as my words landed. I saw a wave of profound sadness wash over his features, making him look older than his 25 years. And then, finally, all of it just disappeared. It was like a switch flipped. His expression became calm. A terrifying, empty calm. "You're right," he said, his voice quiet. A stupid, triumphant wave of relief washed over me. "Thank you," I said, thinking I had won the argument, that he saw how crazy he was being. "No," he said, shaking his head slowly, his eyes looking at me with a new, chilling clarity. "I mean, you're right. Your answer tells me everything I need to know." I didn't understand. "What are you talking about?" He finally looked me right in the eye. The warmth, the adoration I was so used to seeing there was gone. It was like looking at a stranger. "This was a test, Jess," he said. "A simple one. And you failed it." That's not fair, I yelled, the panic starting to bubble up in my chest. You can't just test people. That's a sick thing to do. Why not? He asked, his voice still unnervingly calm. I was honest about it. I told you I was insecure. I told you I needed reassurance. I asked you for one thing to make me feel secure. And you couldn't do it. I was sitting here praying, literally praying, that you would get mad and roll your eyes and toss me the phone. I was ready for that fight. But you didn't do that. You built a wall. You went on the attack. You accused me. He took a step closer, his voice dropping to an almost clinical tone. There were two ways this could have gone tonight, Jess. Path A. You have nothing to hide. You get annoyed with me. Maybe you call me a psycho, but you toss me the phone because you love me and you know it's just my own stupid head getting in the way. We have a small fight about trust, but we move on because there are no secrets. Path B. You have something to hide. You get angry. You get defensive. You accuse me of being controlling. You start talking about privacy. You refuse. You chose Path B. The test is over. That's ridiculous, I said, but my voice was shaking now. The walls of my argument were crumbling under the weight of his cold logic. Is it? He said. I can't be in a relationship where I don't have trust. And I can't trust someone who hides things from me. I just can't do it again. He turned and walked toward the bedroom. I'm just going to get my stuff. It felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. What, you're leaving? You're breaking up with me over this? Over a stupid phone? He stopped and turned back to me, his face set like stone. I'm not breaking up with you over a phone, Jess. I'm breaking up with you because you just showed me very clearly that you will choose your secrets over my peace of mind. And that's a choice you're allowed to make. But I get to make a choice too. Panic, pure and absolute, took over. Wait, Leo, okay, fine, here. I grabbed my phone from the coffee table and held it out to him, my hand shaking violently. Look, see, it's fine. Look at whatever you want. He just shook his head, a sad little smile on his face that was the cruelest thing I had ever seen. It doesn't matter now, he said softly. The first reaction is the only one that's real. Your gut reaction was to protect your phone, not to protect my feelings. Anything you show me now could be deleted. The trust is already broken. He walked into the bedroom. I could hear him opening drawers, the sound of his duffel bag zipping up. He wasn't taking much, just a few changes of clothes, his toothbrush. He left the framed photo of us from our trip to the North Shore on the nightstand, but he had turned it face down. I just stood there, completely frozen, unable to process what was happening. Leo, please, I whispered as he walked back out. Don't do this. I have to, he said, his hand on the doorknob. His voice was steady. I have to choose myself this time. And then he left. He just walked out. The door clicked shut behind him. I stood there in the middle of my silent apartment, the pizza getting cold on the coffee table. The first thing I did, after the shock wore off, was grab my phone. My hands were shaking as I frantically deleted the entire message thread from Kyle. Then I blocked his number. And then I sat on the floor and sobbed, overwhelmed by the sudden, terrifying realization that it was already too late. The next few days were a blur of shock and fury. I called him 100 times. I sent him long, rambling texts explaining in detail how unfair he was, how his trust issues had ruined the best thing he ever had. He never responded. I called our mutual friend Sarah, desperate for an ally. I just don't get it, Jess, she said, her voice cautious. We were at a coffee shop and she wouldn't meet my eyes. He just said he felt like he couldn't trust you. He sounded really, really sad about it. He's sad? I'm the one who got dumped? I said, my voice too loud. But why didn't you just show him the phone? She asked, the simple, obvious question I didn't want to answer. Because it's the principle of the thing, Sarah. It's my privacy. She just stirred her latte, her silence a judgment. I knew then that I had lost her too. I was so upset and confused that I even called my older sister. I spun her my tale of woe, painting Leo as a paranoid, controlling boyfriend. Well, Jess, she said after a long pause, Was there anything on your phone you didn't want him to see? The question hung in the air between us. That's not the point, I mumbled. But it was. It was the only point. A few weeks went by. I was a wreck. I cried all the time. I replayed that night in my head, each time becoming more and more convinced of my own innocence. He had been so out of line, so controlling. He was punishing me for his ex-girlfriend's mistakes. Then, one of my friends sent me a screenshot from Instagram. It was Leo. He had posted a picture of himself standing next to a U-Haul truck, parked on a sunny, tree-lined street I didn't recognize. The caption said goodbye to the Twin Cities. On to the next adventure in Austin, Texas. Sometimes you just need a clean break. Austin? He had moved. He hadn't just broken up with me. He had left the entire state. He had erased me from his life so completely that he had to move 1,000 miles away. All because I wouldn't let him look through my stupid phone. All because of a few harmless, flirty texts that meant nothing. I looked at the picture for a long time. I zoomed in on his face. He was smiling, his face turned toward the sun, and he looked free. He looked happy. Happier than I had seen him in months. I scrolled through the comments. Dozens of his friends, our friends, were wishing him well. So proud of you, man. Austin's lucky to have you. On to bigger and better things. It was a digital farewell party, and I was the only one not invited. It's been 2 months now. I'm still here, in my apartment that feels way too quiet and way too big for one person. I heard through Sarah that his new graphic design job in Austin is going great. I've blocked Kyle on everything, but the damage is done. Sometimes, late at night when I can't sleep, I pull up that picture of Leo and the U-Haul. I stare at his smiling face, and I just can't wrap my head around it. I still think his test was crazy and unfair. I still think he overreacted. He threw away a whole year, a whole future we could have had just because he was insecure. Sure, maybe I shouldn't have been texting my ex. I can admit that was a little shady. It was a mistake. But to end everything over it? To just walk away and never look back? It was just texting. It wasn't like I cheated for real. It feels like he was just looking for an excuse to leave, a way to punish me for not being perfect. Everyone says I should move on, but they don't get it. They didn't see the look on his face. He made a choice, and he never hesitated. And I'm left here feeling like I failed some secret, life-ruining exam I never even knew I was taking. It's not fair. It's just not fair.